Okay, it's 11:11.
Make a wish.
I wish for $1 million so I can leave nursing forever. Just kidding. Not really. Okay. Hello, my name is Georgia.
And I'm Olivia.
And welcome to Nurse of Ratchet.
Welcome.
It's 11:11 and Olivia and I just got through a whole podcast of bitching about the woes of nursing. It was very cathartic, wasn't it? Tune in for that next week. But for the now, we are going to get through Josef Mengele Part 3, the final edition. We got there, ladies and gentlemen. After this podcast, we never have to deal with that cunt again. Slay. So we left off Auschwitz. Fuck, I can never say it right, and I always get it wrong on the first try. Auschwitz. We left off, Auschwitz had been liberated, and Josef was burning all of his evidence of war crimes, and they had dynamited the crematorium and the gas chambers and fled to the fucking other fucking camps. They just relocated. So following the liberation of Auschwitz, in January of 1945, Mengele went to Gross-Rosen concentration camp while he waited to see where he ought to go next, and reported to colleagues that he had blown up the crematorium 2 and 3. He was still confident that Germany would win, that Hitler had some kind of miracle weapon he was close to unleashing on the Allied scum. Eventually, he would stay on at Gross-Rosen, where he was to be the SS garrison physician responsible for both the prisoners and the SS personnel, basically what he was doing at Auschwitz. Mengele assumed his new responsibilities on Feb 5th, but the continued Allied advance did not allow him to stay put for very long. He was almost immediately tasked with helping to evacuate that camp, which would be liberated by the Soviets on Feb 13th, so he wasn't there much, like a week. By March of 1945, Mengele would bounce around 3 other camps as the Allies advanced from both east and west, never staying anywhere any long because they got their asses kicked. Thank God. In the final days of the war, Mengele would appear at a military field hospital in Sudetenland. He shed his incriminating SS uniform and dressed himself up as an ordinary German officer. With a new unit, he settled in a sort of no man's land that wasn't occupied yet by the Americans or the Soviets and just waited. Here, Mengele would develop a cover story for himself, cast himself as a Wehrmacht officer, which is basically German armed forces, not SS. He tried several names, including that of a famous Bavarian painter, Josef Mengele. Around mid-June, the Soviets had come close to the no man's land, and Mengele and his colleagues wanted to make sure they were taken into US custody and not taken by the communists, because the communists would fuck them up. They don't give a fuck. An eye for an eye. He was soon taken into American custody, luckily for him, interned in the vicinity of the German city of Hof, near the Czech border. Mengele would remain there until late July, where he and others were transferred to another POW camp in Heimbrecht. More than 2,000 POWs would be released from there in July alone, and in early August, Mengele would be released as well. Why? Why, you ask? He got a discharge certificate to prove that he had been screened by US authorities and properly released. Mengele's certificate would bear the name Fritz Holman and not Josef Mengele. Mengele could have escaped detection for many reasons. Understaffing of the POW camps, general confusion, but he also had a distinct advantage. As mentioned in part 1 and 2, Mengele avoided getting the blood type tattoo, which only SS officers had. I'm not sure how he pulled that off. Maybe that medical torture demon was afraid of needles. You know, like the guys who have all the tats, but they can't stand an IV.
They pass out,
that kind of vibe. Mengele was dropped off near Ingolstadt, a Bavarian city around 100 kilometres from his hometown in Gunsberg. He'd arrive at a friend's house wearing a uniform without the insignia and told his friend he wouldn't be going home. He would travel to visit a female friend instead who lived in the Soviet zone of occupation. Unclear why he would do that. Some historians think he was trying to recover some of the scientific notes he lost during transit, which may have wound up with the nurse. In his autobiography, he indicated that he ended up in Munich, where he stayed until mid-October. He then found work at a farm where he lived for the next 3 years as a farmer. The farm was less than 23 acres in size, and at that time Mengele was there, had 10 cows, a few horses, grew potatoes, grain and fodder. How fucking random. 3 years he was there. Wonder if after a long day of milking cows and harvesting some taters, he laid in bed and dreamed of the good old days when he was torturing and killing children by the dozens, sending thousands to their gas chamber deaths. Mengele knew he had no prospects in Germany and he didn't want to work at the farm forever because he's above that. His no-nonsense boss required him to work every day but Sunday, poor baby, waking up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning to spend 12 to 14 hours working in the fields or in the barn. That work earned him 10 marks per week, which was the currency at the time, and was barely enough to survive. No one on the farm knew his true identity, although they knew he was not originally from a farming family. He wrote and read quite a bit, also frequently washed his hands, kind of like how a doctor might do. Despite noticing his farming inexperience in education, they said nothing to anyone, which is very annoying. From his brother, who did manage to visit him, Mengele learned about his family's fate. His father and youngest brother had been interned, while Irene and Rolf, along with Irene's parents and Mengele's mother, had been evacuated to a tiny settlement in southern Germany. Even though she survived the war, Mengele's mother became unwell and died in January of 1946. Poor Wahlberger. During this farm period, Mengele would see Irene, his wife, twice. Once when she visited him and then once later when he surprised her on a vacation in Oberstdorf. Irene was shocked to see him. She thought he'd committed suicide. If only we could be that lucky. Mengele wasn't sure anymore about a future with Irene and his son Rolf. She seemed distant, pessimistic about them ever getting to enjoy a normal life again. She knew about the allegations against her husband in October of 1945. A newspaper article had mentioned how Josef had, quote, watched people die with animal pleasure. That would give me the ick too, Irene. Yeah. I would get a serious ick too. Irene was also clearly aware of the denazification efforts which began by the Allies taking over the influence of National Socialism by identifying and removing from public life anyone who had contributed to the Nazi state in any meaningful way. So as quickly as the Nazis came to power, they were fucking taken away and wiped clean. As a first step in the denazification process, every German male above a certain age had to fill out a questionnaire detailing his activities and memberships during the Nazi period. It was clear that Mengele was not going to slip through the cracks in this process. I mean, he could lie, but people would recognise him for sure. Because of this, he had to leave Europe or risk being caught, charged and convicted of war crimes, which would have certainly earned him an execution. So in public, Irene began to act as though her husband was dead, even though he was like, nah, fuck y'all, I don't want you in my life anymore. She's still protecting him. Going as far as publicly mourning and even having a priest conduct a mass, like a fake funeral. This ruse apparently worked. Responding to an inquiry about Mengele in January of 1948, General Telford Taylor, the American Chief Counsel for War Crimes, reported, "Our record shows Dr. Mengele is dead as of October 1946. Mengele, who is clearly not dead, is told by his farm boss that he could no longer afford to employ him and the risk of getting caught was increasing. So Mengele left the farm August 1st, and his whereabouts over the next 9 months are a matter of speculation. His son Rolf would later tell journalists that his dad hid in the woods near Günzburg, getting the necessary logistical and financial help to leave Europe. So he's just hanging out in the woods, frolicking with the birds. The financial help was readily available because the Mengele family business was fucking booming again. Their most popular product was a wheelbarrow, which was used to haul away all the rubble throughout the post-war Germany's crumbling cities. Mengele would first cross into Italy by way of Austria on April 15, 1949. Then he obtained the necessary ID documents and made his way to Genoa. His ID card said his name was Helmut Gregor. Once in Genoa, he got a passage on the North Queen, which is a boat. He obtained a passport from the Swiss consulate like many other Nazis did, departing Italy for South America. Switzerland had remained neutral during the war, but many important leaders had been outspoken in their support of Nazi Germany, and they continued to help them after the fact. These men retained their positions after the war and were in a position to help out. Swiss bankers, out of greed or sympathy, also helped former Nazis move and launder their funds. Fuckers. Bad form, Swiss. Mengele's next task was to obtain a certification that he had no tax obligations, and then a so-called begging certificate which indicated that he had never begged in Italy or been the recipient of public welfare, which is such a strange thing to require.
Yeah, what the fuck?
It's like you can't be homeless or a beggar. You have to bring something to the country. He then had to undergo, ironically, a physical examination. I hope they delved deep into his asshole.
Fondled everything. Against his will.
Yeah. Getting his visa would be complicated, however. He was detained and interrogated by an Italian official who accused him of committing crimes against Italian POWs, which is probably spot on there. Mm-hmm. Luckily for Mengele, this lucky fuck, an acquaintance showed up and cleared up the misunderstanding. Mengele was now free to depart. He arrives in Buenos Aires, Argentina, June 20, 1949, still going by Helmut Gregor. Mm-hmm. For the time being, he was a free man. Mm-hmm. He would get a job randomly as a carpenter in a room that he shared with an engineer. Things would look up for him in September of 1949 when he moved into the home of Gerard Malbranck, a known Nazi sympathiser. Malbranck provided comfortable living arrangements and entry into circles of prominent expat Germans and right-wing Argentines. The German version of MAGA. Mengele obtained his Argentine identity card issued in the name of Helmut Gregor on September 17, 1949, listing the Malbranck home as his address. During this early period in Argentina, Mengele received significant financial support from his family, and his dad actually visited him at least once in July of 1952. Mm-hmm. He would even sell some of the Mengele firm's products to customers in Argentina. Clearly, his dad and other family members were not disgusted by what he'd done. Mm-hmm. So, gross. In 1953, Mengele moved into his own apartment. Mengele also returned to his science during this period, unfortunately, publishing articles on genetics under the name G. Helmuth. He moved to the predominantly German suburb of Olivos and he got himself a car in 1954 and applied for a driver's license. He's just living a normal fucking life. Ugh. His former landlord and friend, Gerard, as well as other acquaintances, certified to his upstanding character so he could do this. Mm-hmm. Oh, how wonderful. Although still living under a false identity, he had a comfortable place to live, a wide circle of friends, including Adolf Eichmann, the so-called architect of Holocaust. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they had a lot of conversations about the good old days when they tried to literally kill all the Jewish people in Europe. Mengele, at least, had his wife leave him. Irene refused to follow him to South America and sued for divorce, keeping little Rolf. Shortly after his divorce, Mengele's brother dies suddenly of a heart ailment at the age of 30. I'm not sure which one it was, the older one or the younger one, but he died, leaving his wife Martha as a widow. Mengele was afraid that her remarriage outside of the family would take away from the business profits, so Carl demands that Joseph now marry his brother's widow, and he does. Weird. He probably knew Daddy would stop giving his money if he didn't. Mengele would get a passport to go to Europe to meet his bride on September 1st, 1955. Pretty ballsy, going back. Mm-hmm. In 1955, in Engelberg, Switzerland, he registers at the best hotel in town. Martha's there waiting for him, along with Rolf, who thought Mengele was his uncle. Oh. How weird. Mengele also visited some family in Günzburg. Like, he went back to his hometown when they're actively looking for him. He got to know Martha. I know. He got to know Martha and then went back to Argentina. Now he decides to get rid of his fake identity because he's like waltzing around Germany anyway. So he goes back to where it's safe and decides to just go by his name. Probably so that he could fucking publish stuff and have people recognize him because he's a narcissist. It's so infuriating that he gets to just get off scot-free. Anyway, on September 11th, 1956, Mengele receives a document from the German embassy certifying his identity as Josef Mengele. So this is a German embassy. Like, are they not fucking monitoring that shit? Seriously. Holy shit.
Guess not anymore.
With his certificate in hand, Mengele applies for an Argentine identity card, which was issued to him under the name Josef Mengele on November 26, 1956. In the same month, he's issued a new German passport, completing the official resumption of his old identity. Martha and her son, Karl-Heinz, joined Mengele in Buenos Aires in October of 1956 and then move into a new house that Mengele had purchased in Olivos. And now, with his new identity intact, he can resume his true life's passion, science. He joins with a few partners in October of 1957 to create a pharmaceutical company called Fadrafarm. I know. A manufacturer of a drug for the treatment of tuberculosis, which was considered very effective and saved heaps of people.
Okay.
which is such an oxymoron.
Interesting, yeah.
You know? I kind of hate that he was helping people now, right? It's so fucking weird that his new company, I'm sure, probably saved a lot of lives. Like, if he would have been killed at the end of the World War II, would some future Fadra Farm customers have died from tuberculosis?
True.
Meanwhile, back in Germany in March of 1958, a man named Ernst Schnabel publishes a manuscript about the life of Anne Frank. Based on her diaries and interviews with individual people who knew her, one young reader, a girl having read the book, was certain that one of the book's claims was wrong. The claim was this: no one knew where Dr. Mengele was, whether he died or whether he still lived somewhere. On July 7th, 1957, the young reader wrote a letter to Ernst Schnabel, the author. Apparently, some people do know where he is. Otherwise, his father Karl Mengele in Gudsberg would not have told his former housemaid that his son, who was an SS doctor, practiced medicine in South America under a different name. And because he was so homesick, Mr. Mengele sent the widow of another son over there. This will almost get this fucker caught, but doesn't, unfortunately. It's crazy that someone who read the Anne Frank diary was like, hang on, I heard on the grapevine that Mengele is still fucking kicking. On July 27th, 1958, Martha and Mengele get married in Uruguay. And thanks to the girl's letter, the hunt is now on for Josef Mengele. Through a big chain of Schnabel contacting a prosecutor who then contacts other authorities and on, Mengele's whereabouts are eventually traced all the way to his home in Buenos Aires. A warrant for Mengele's arrest was issued by Freiburg German court on February 25th, 1959. They then petitioned Argentina to arrest Mengele and extradite him, but they didn't have to. It's just a suggestion, really. The Argentine government can do what the fuck they want.
Yeah.
And they did. It took more than a year for the German extradition request to even make its way through the system, slowed by technicalities and possibly laziness. The delay gives Mengele time to move on, which is so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
By the time the Argentine government issued Mengele's arrest warrant, he'd already been gone for months. They fucking had him. So annoying. If the Argentine government hadn't made a nasty habit of harbouring and protecting Nazis, they would have had him. He then fled to Paraguay and obtained citizenship there in October 2nd, 1958. He's just fucking hopping the globe.
Yeah.
He sold his shares of the pharmaceutical company and became a citizen of Paraguay. He kept a low profile, living on a farm in the southeast of the country. In May 15th, 1965, days after Adolf Eichmann's capture, Israeli intelligence agents would question Eichmann about Mengele's whereabouts, and Eichmann would admit that he met Mengele 3 times, once in 1951, once in 1952, and again in 1955. I wonder how they got him to squeal.
Yeah.
Probably some nasty methods, I'd say. Some tortuous methods, one would say. Maybe some waterboarding.
The water cure.
The water cure. But the info was not helpful. Though unsuccessful at finding him, the capture of Adolf Eichmann changed everything for Mengele. Though technically in Paraguay and safe from extradition, it was now clear that Israel didn't care. Mossad agents, which are Israeli intelligence agents, would come and find former Nazis without waiting for warrants and approvals for embassies. So he had to disappear again because they'd either capture you or kill you. Eichmann, meanwhile, will be executed. See you later. He was hanged on June 1st, 1962, and supposedly his last words were, "I hope that all of you will follow me." Nazi to the very end. He's like, fuck y'all. Fuck all y'all.
You're going to meet me on the other side one day anyway.
Except you'll be in hell. Mengele now chooses to live in Brazil, which he left for in mid-October of 1960 under the assumed name of Peter Huckelblair.
Jeez.
Huckbichler.
Okay.
Not Huckleberry Finn.
No.
Peter Huckbichler. One of them. Martha's still with him at this point. In 1961, an informant would tell Mossad agents, this is 1961, guys.
Yeah.
The war ended in 1940 and still fucking on the run. 1945. An informant would tell Mossad agents that he knew of a man who maintained regular contact with Mengele, meeting every 6 months or so. He told the Mossad agents that Martha Mengele had now returned to Europe, settling in Switzerland. After more probing, the Mossad agents learned that Mengele was living outside the city of Sao Paulo in an isolated house guarded by armed men, and that he's depressed and had considered suicide, apparently. However, this info led to nothing, and Mengele began working as a farm manager in Nova Europa, Brazil, on a farm, again, that grew coffee. He moved there sometime in 1961. Mossad would continue to attempt to pursue him, following tips and leads across South America, their missions repeatedly failing and following false paths. So a lot of the info that was given to Mossad agents was just false and just sending them on wild goose chases. So fucked. It's like even in like cold cases and things, when cases go cold, they'll get like all of these phone calls, like detectives will get an array of information from people that is just, or leads, quote unquote, that just lead to nothing. It's just people fucking with them. It's so bad. People be bored with their lives. Over the next decade, they'll bug his wife's Martha's home in Europe. I didn't even know they had bugs in the 60s, but anyway. They'll run surveillance on other relatives' homes, on family funerals, do a bunch of stakeouts, but they just can't track this fucker down. Mengele's farm owner buddy, he's been working under for years now, bought a house in 1974 in Sao Paulo, and they rented a bungalow to him. He's just hanging out in a bungalow, like our bungalow. Rolf, who had not seen his uncle/father since the ski holiday in 1956, visits him again at his bungalow in 1977. He said later he found an unrepentant Nazi who claimed he had never personally harmed literally anyone and only carried out his duties as an officer.
Okay, mate.
Yeah. So it's not my fault. On March 13, 1978, a special Mossad unit will be created for the sole purpose to locate and capture Nazi war criminals. And if that was impossible as far as the capturing part, then to kill them. So fuck yeah, Mengele is a major target for them. This is so weird. They planned to kidnap the child of one of Mengele's associates and force him to reveal Mengele's location, or the child would be killed. Seems a bit extreme.
Jeez, okay.
Wrong kind of eye for an eye, maybe. Like, A, Mengele gives no fucks about anyone but himself, and B, don't become the people you hate. Maybe don't kill an innocent kid to try and capture a Nazi. The leadership of Mossad does ultimately reject this plan, thankfully, which is the right call. This is when Mengele's time runs out. Are you ready? This entire time, Mengele was still in and out of poor health, because, of course, Beppo. And while visiting friends in Bertagonia, Brazil, on February 7th of 1979, he allegedly suffers a stroke while swimming in the ocean and drowns. That is the end of the notorious Josef Mengele. He just drowns in the ocean one day. Good fucking riddance.
Wow.
I know. Crazy.
Just gave himself a...
I hope it was terrifying for him.
Attack, but no,
I hope he didn't die and then drown. I hope like he was fully conscious to the very end, choking in water.
He just drowned like that, apparently.
He did. They say he had a stroke, but no one really knows. He was out there alone.
Yeah. And so did they ever find his body?
Yes, they dragged his body in.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And did they do an autopsy?
His body was buried under the name Wolfgang Gerard because...
What the fuck?
I don't know. Because he's dead now. You could bury his body under his name. Like, what does it matter now?
Well, people probably wanted to face the grave.
Yeah, good. They deserve that, right?
True.
Meanwhile, reports about Mengele's location continue to come in from all over the world.
Wow.
People report to seeing him in South America, Europe and Africa. Meanwhile, he's at the bottom of the fucking ocean. That's what I mean. People just talk shit.
Of course.
On the 40th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, January of 1985, a group of Mengele's surviving twins made an emotional pilgrimage to the camp that had caused them and so many others so much suffering. This group was led by Eva Kerr, one of the twins. She had started an organisation called Candles, which sought to identify and bring together all the surviving twins who had been subjected to Mengele's experiments in Auschwitz. The group included Eva's sister as well as 6 others, all survivors of pairs of twins who travelled to Poland not only to commemorate the nightmare time but also to bring attention to their history. They were upset that Mengele was still unpunished and at large as far as they knew.
Yeah.
Of course you'd be upset. This is like in 1985.
Yeah.
This is like fucking 40 years on. It's fucked.
They're still wanting justice.
It's pathetic. Yeah, and they deserve it.
Yeah.
After their visit to Auschwitz, the twins travelled to Israel where they were joined by another 90 or so twins, little people, and others who survived Mengele's experiments. So, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't realise so many got out, luckily.
Yeah.
There they took part in a tribunal which decided there was sufficient evidence to try Mengele for war crimes and crimes against humanity, including acts of murder, causing of grievous bodily harm, and acts of brutality against the bodies and souls of the men and women.
Wow.
Shortly afterwards, the West German, Israeli and US governments launched a coordinated effort to determine Mengele's whereabouts. So could have been done 40 years ago, maybe, coordinate your shit, but anyway.
Why was he not a priority like this whole fucking time?
On and off, I think, but they didn't coordinate their efforts. It was just like one government looking for him, then another one. Yeah.
They're not communicating.
No. Or helping each other.
Or why would they, though, I guess?
The West German and Israeli governments offer rewards for his capture. You could have done that too.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Better late than never, I guess.
Yeah.
Finally, on May 31, 1985, acting on intelligence received by the West German Prosecutor's Office, police raid the house of Hans Settmeyer, lifelong friend of Mengele and sales manager of the family firm in Günzburg. They find a coded address book along with copies of letters sent to and received from Mengele.
Wow. Oh.
Among the papers was a letter notifying Settmeyer of Mengele's death. German authorities alert the police in Sao Paulo, who then contact the Bossets, some friends of Mengele's there. Wow. Under interrogation, quote unquote, maybe some waterboarding, they reveal the location of Mengele's grave, and the remains were exhumed June 6, 1985. Forensics would confirm that it was him, the angel of death.
Yeah, wow.
Unfortunately, to my knowledge, none of those people who had helped him were ever punished. That's fucked. His son Rolf, who had no real relationship with his father, issued a statement on June 10, 1985, confirming that the body was his father's and the news of his father's death had been concealed to protect the people who had sheltered him. Fucked. In 1992, DNA testing confirms Mengele's identity beyond any shadow of a doubt. So they redid the test. Yeah. Family members refused repeated requests by Brazilian officials to repatriate the remains to Germany. They were like, we don't want anything to do with him, thanks. No. We don't even want him in Germany anymore. We don't want a bar of it. Yeah, but they supported him the whole way. So it's like, what? Anyway, so where are Mengele's remains now? They lay unclaimed inside a blue plastic bag in Sao Paulo's Legal Medical Institute.
Are you serious?
I am. Dr. Daniel Romero Munz.
Wow, why wasn't he reburied?
Dr. Daniel Romero Munz, who led the team that identified Mengele's remains in 1985, saw an opportunity to put them to use. I think this is really good. I love this. The head of the Department of Legal Medicine at the University of Sao Paulo's medical school obtained permission to use them in his forensic medical courses.
Wow.
Today, his students are now learning their trade, studying Mengele's bones and connecting them to the life story of the man called the Angel of Death. So he's just getting poked and prodded in medical school, which I absolutely love.
And he's got no idea.
He's probably watching from above or below, rather. Josef Mengele, the Angel of Death, what a piece of human garbage. Seriously, though, what a fucking piece of shit he was. He didn't have any kind of backstory that would lead to the growth of a sociopathic mind. No abusive parents, no religious trauma, wasn't even touched by the Great Depression. His family's business continued to do well. He was in a position to do whatever the fuck he wanted, study whatever he liked. He would choose medicine to the detriment of thousands, if not tens of thousands. Instead of swearing to heal the sick and do no harm, doctors educated under the Nazis swore to protect the racial purity of the nation and in its name tortured, maimed and killed. And that's the story of Josef Mengele. Ladies and gentlemen, wild west of Germany. I can't believe it actually fucking happened. Like, that is insane. Wow. Insanity. And insane that it took people so long to get this cunt. Like,
not even that long ago.
And he was in a prisoner of war camp. You would think people would have gone, that cunt did it. Like, but they obviously all just stuck together and protected each other to the very end, which is so fucked. I wish he'd got hanged, but drowning's, you know, a close second, I guess. You know what I mean? They must
not fun.
They must have found out he had a stroke up when they exhumed his remains, maybe.
Surely.
Yeah. Old Beppo's illness has got him in the end. I hope he suffered a great deal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Jesus Christ.
What do you think?
Oh, what else? What can you say?
Despite the atrocities he committed, people live on.
This was even a thing.
Olivia is a testament to that. Both sides.
Yeah, I guess so.
Both sides
Both my
surviving.
parents.
It's crazy. So that's an official fuck you to Josef Mengele and the Nazi party. You know what I mean? And Hitler himself.
I can't believe his body's being studied.
I love that.
That's crazy.
I hope some of them are Jews and they like break off little pieces and like, you know.
Light them on fire.
Light them on fire. Put them in the toilet.
Yeah, smoke them in a bong.
Smoke them in a bong. You are now inside of me, Josef Mengele. No, gross. That's foul. Speak Jewish prayers over them or something.
Yeah.
Bless them. Make them Jewish. I don't know if that's a thing.
Convert him to Judaism.
Convert the bones to Judaism.
He certainly wouldn't like that.
No.
Be rolling in his hellish grave.
Yeah. He doesn't have a grave. He's in a fucking medical institute. Anyway, sweet justice.
I know, it's like the ultimate fuck you to him, honestly.
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty much the ultimate fuck you. Your body is literally being used to do good now. Probably having Jewish students learn off it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think he would hate it.
Yeah, totally.
I think he would honestly hate it and be, like, shocked.
Yeah.
That's what had happened to him.
It's not being used for the benefit of race science.
Yeah, and that everything has changed. Like, I mean, if these people were still alive today, what would they think about what they've done and what the world is like today?
Yeah, I don't know. Some people are remorseful. I think I've seen some.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah, you would
Probably
hope
because
so.
they got caught.
Yeah, facts. Anyway, that's the end. Thanks for struggling through this with me, Olivia. I know it's been a long one.
This has been a very long one.
What are you doing next? What's your next topic?
Oh, I haven't decided yet.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot to
Got
choose
a couple
from.
of weeks. Yep.
Yeah, and I'll start writing as soon as I choose.
Fuck yeah.
But I don't know yet.
It's a lucky dip of psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned.
Pick one.
I want to do H.H. Holmes. Do you know H.H. Holmes?
No.
He's an old-timey
Okay.
psychopath. He was a doctor.
Okay.
And he built a murder mansion. It's really crazy.
That sounds cool, actually. I'm very
it's
interested
fucked.
to hear this. Okay.
It's going to be another long one, though.
Good. That's all right. That's okay.
Georgia's known for the long ones. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stretch my legs, get some blood flow. Have a good week, you guys.
Yeah, thanks
Do all
for
the
joining.
things. Drop a comment if you have any family history involved in the Holocaust. We'd love to hear it. Send us an email. We'd love to read it out in the pod. nurseratchet@gmail.com. Follow our Insta to see pictures of Josef Mengele and his victims. Love y'all. Keep a ratchet.
Bye.
All of the things. Bye.